Assalamu alaikum, everyone. So the Trump trade is doing very well, and perhaps this is a indication that Trump's odds are improving with time. Assalamu alaikum. Today is Tuesday, November 5th, and today is election day in the United States. So we had very positive market today. Dow Jones, Nasdaq, S&P, Russell, they were all up. The Russell was up close to 2% today. Elon Musk has aligned himself very closely to Trump and companies associated with him, and assets that are associated with him did very well today. So Tesla is up 3.5%. If you look at Dogecoin, it's up 6%. It was at 17.5, 17.6 earlier today. It's pulled back to around 16 cents, 16.7. And Bitcoin was at 70,000 today. It pulled back since to 69,200. Wa alaikum salam, Zuhair. Nice to see you. If we look at the odds of winning, we can see for Trump, he's kind of pulled away with the odds. You can see just with this update, it went from 58 to 59. So it does seem like early indications are pointing towards a Trump victory, and hopefully that victory is clear cut and it doesn't lag on and we get litigation and we get back and forth between the candidates. The best scenario for the markets would be a clear cut victory for one of the candidates, and probably Donald Trump would be more market friendly than Kamala Harris. In other news, we did see Bitdeer up close to 10%. So that was a nice recovery from a recent pullback. We also saw an interesting move from DJT, which is Trump's media company, Trump's public media company. Nice to see you, Niznaz. And nice to see everyone in the chat. So with DJT, just to put things in perspective, we did see it fall here in price. Perhaps there was a, buy the anticipation of what could happen election night and sell election night type activity going on here. But don't argue with me about the fundamentals here. This is a company that is 6.79 billion in market cap, and guess how much revenue it has? Has basically the revenue of a doctor in California. So it makes $836,000, and at least in the last quarter, that is. And their operating expense, so how much they spend to generate that $836,000, $19.5 million is what they spent. So really solid business we got going on here. Oh, and by the way, the owner of this company is actually probably going to be the president of this country. So we have that to look forward to. Not that his opponent was any better. It just boggles the mind how this election turned out to be between these two clowns. And so from a fundamentals perspective, the value of this business should be zero. So if you're invested in this business, hold on to your hat. There's probably going to be a lot of volatility here. Another company that's been in the news that we spoke about, Supermicro, they reported earnings today. And prior to reporting earnings, they were up. And then after reporting earnings, they were down. So Supermicro Computer, by the way, if you're unfamiliar, this is a company that was, one of the best performing S&P 500 companies of the year. And then it turns out that there's a lot of shenanigans, or probably a lot of shenanigans going on with their financials. Their auditor resigned, Ernst & Young resigned. If they can't find an auditor soon so that they can release their earnings, their audited earnings, they're going to be delisted from NASDAQ. And that's basically a death sentence for this stock. So this is a company that at one point, SMCI was, flying high. You can see how much the appreciation was steep here. So SMCI reached above 100, and then now it's close to 23.4. It was up on the day, $23. It's close to $24, but it was up on the day, and then it lost its gains and then some after hours because of Supermicro's report. So what did they report? They said it expects net sales to be between 5.5 billion to 6.1 billion for the second quarter, compared with analyst estimates of 6.86 billion. So assuming that they cooked the books, even after cooking the books, it appears that they missed estimates. So that's not good. The company's preliminary results come less than a week after Ernst & Young had resigned as their auditor, triggering investor concerns about accounting practices at the firm. The special committee probe related to issues raised by Ernst & Young over the company's governance, transparency, and internal control over financial reporting. Though Supermicro has been gaining traction in the server industry, larger rivals Dell Technology and HP have been able to leverage their vast customer base to boost sales. And this is something that we've mentioned in our analysis of Supermicro. This is something that stood out to me when I did a deep dive on it, is that their margins were under pressure. And that was basically the main reason why I skipped on investing in it. Competition has also forced Supermicro to offer attractive prices to its customers while incurring higher costs for some parts used in liquid-cooled servers, pressuring margins. And interestingly enough, when you go to the investor relations page of Supermicro Computer, you get Surat al-Mutaffifin, Waylun al-Mutaffifin. So that's interesting. I thought that was noteworthy. If we go to the 270 to win website, which is based on polling and not based on betting markets. So it will take 270 electoral votes to win the 2024 presidential election. Now, yesterday when I checked on this, they did have the Democrats in the lead, but today, checking on it, it does appear that the Republicans are now in the lead with 230 versus 226 for the Democrats. The swing states here are Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia. Nice to see you, middle class investing. I hope you're doing well. It does appear that your state has leaned Republican. So, oh, did this just change? Oh, no. Let me refresh here. Oh, actually, this was. Oh, so this has changed, guys. So now it's showing, this site at least is showing 228 Republicans, 243 Democrats, and it's showing, it previously was showing Ohio leaning Republican. Now it's showing Ohio likely Democrat. Ohio is one of those swing states, pivotal states that will have a big impact on this election. Now, if you guys want, we can tune into some of the major news channels. So let's see if we can get some voice here. Oh, you moved to Arkansas? That's interesting. So yeah, Arkansas will go red. That's pretty sure. And assalamu alaikum to everyone else in the chat. Nice to see you all. Mhm. So, if I do have people from the United States, did you go vote? Are you comfortable telling us who you voted for? Put that in the chat.
Already crunching more of the numbers. The campaigns are looking at this stuff too. So I want to get to Peter Alexander and Garrett Haake, both of our correspondents covering both the Harris and the Trump campaigns. We're just getting in, Garrett and Peter, the what we call unfaves. In other words, the favorability ratings for each of these candidates. And let's start with former President Trump.
By the way, guys, if there's any issues with the sound, just let me know. I'm going to assume that the sound is good for you.
We're going to pull that up here. And you can see he is what they say underwater, essentially. 54% of voters in these early exit polls have an unfavorable opinion of the former president. Garrett, as you well know, though, the strategy for the Trump team has long been supercharge the base, get that 44% who do see him favorably to actually show up and vote either today or during early voting.
Yeah, that's right, Hallie. And I remember a briefing with Trump campaign officials several months ago now in which they said by the time this race is over, both of these candidates will be unpopular. And that's broadly true. Kamala Harris underwater as well in these polls, but not quite as badly. And I think that's going to be part of the challenge for the Trump campaign as we look at these early exit polls, which I should caution that the campaign was telling us sort of all week not to overinterpret them. And I think that's a worthy acknowledgement to make here. But they also wanted to use President Biden as an anchor around Kamala Harris's neck and essentially hope that Biden's unfavorability would drag down Kamala Harris. And the delta between Biden being far more unpopular than Kamala Harris is right now is the kind of thing that I think would be a warning sign to the Trump campaign about that messaging not being as effective as they'd like.
Garrett Haake, thank you very much, live for us down there in South Florida. Appreciate it.
All right, let's move over to my friend Peter Alexander. And Peter, let's take a look at the favorability for the vice president. Here it is. This is the first time we're seeing this. What we have here, the opinion of Kamala Harris, unfavorable 50%, favorable 48%, unfavorable 50, favorable 48%. Her unfavorable slightly lower than what former President Trump's was. Peter, talk to me about how the Harris campaign is feeling. I know you've been reporting all day about sort of their momentum.
By the way, guys, I mean, I have to say these polls are very skewed, I think, and unreliable. No one, I mean, a lot of these polls are done via calls to landlines. No one's really picking up on landlines anymore. So I don't really know if you can put, much merit to any of these polls. What I do know is that when people put money behind something, that means that they're taking it very seriously, at least as per the betting markets. They're clearly favoring Trump at this point in time. So what you're going to hear from sort of the major media outlets may be very different from reality. And now, I mean, just listening here, you do get sort of a impression that, Harris's campaign is doing quite well, but we'll see.
And sort of maybe a changing of mood. They were feeling a bit more positive today.
Yeah, not just positive today. They've been feeling increasingly confident over the course of the last several days. Let's look at that favorability number, though, for a moment. And Kamala Harris, she performs better than both Donald Trump and Joe Biden. 4 points ahead of Donald Trump, 7 points ahead of Joe Biden. One of the concerns about Donald Trump had been that there was some sort of an evaporation, a memory gap where Americans forgot the way they felt about Trump at the end of his term. Right now, his number's coming down. Her number is particularly high in their view right now and higher than the man with whom she served, Joe Biden. So that's something they're feeling, I think, good about this evening. One other data point we'll share, we just heard from a senior campaign advisor. They're seeing some new information coming out of Pennsylvania, obviously the crucial battleground, the biggest prize of the swing states with 19 electoral votes among Puerto Rican voters in the 3 wards with the largest Puerto Rican populations. As of midday today, the numbers were already at 79% of turnout in 2020, which is to say they believe Puerto Rican voters are turning up in big numbers, particularly notable as it comes only about a week and a half after those offensive comments by the comedian who led off for former President Trump at the Madison Square Garden.
By the way, if you're a voter and you let like a comedian determine who you vote for, you should be prevented from voting, like moving forward. I don't know why people put so much importance on what a comedian says. Comedians should be completely ignored. But apparently they made this big, stink out of a comedian saying, "Oh, there's a big, there's a big floating island of garbage in the sea. Its name is Puerto Rico, I guess." And it's just a comedian. Who cares? Who cares what this person jokes about? And it only matters with regards to whether you laughed or not. But for people who let a comment like that swing their vote, I think very few people did. But people who let a comment like that swing their vote one way or the other should probably not vote.
Event just a couple of weeks ago.
All right, Peter Alexander for us. Peter, we appreciate all that.
I'm going to hear at the big board, Tom, because I want to
it.
talk through the road to 270, which is what you are going to be watching tonight.
This has been my best friend for the last 2 or 3 months
Oh,
here.
sweet.
We've just gotten to know each other.
By the way, I mean, looking at the comments here, it seems like most of you voted for Jill Stein. So we did have one non-vote. Which is, I think, a smart choice, to be honest. Like, I think Donald Trump is a terrible person. I think Kamala Harris is, I'm not sure she's like has enough character to be considered a person. She's just sort of an empty vessel that does whatever her controllers want her to do. Jill Stein is a third party candidate. She has been, I'm not sure if I even trust her, but she has been vocally more supportive of Palestinians, more fair on that particular issue. And I think it makes sense for Muslims, Arabs, non-Arab Muslims in the United States to vote and not vote for someone who said they were going to do a Muslim ban like Trump, or someone who is currently in power and has resided over one of the greatest genocides in modern human history. And so this makes a lot of sense to me. So guys, I think probably what you guys did was the right thing. So I'm seeing a lot of comments that you guys voted green. So you voted for Jill Stein. I do see one Trump, and I understand, like, okay, Jill Stein, her probability of winning is 0. So I understand why some people just, may not want their vote not to have an impact. But the important thing is that Muslims are known for voting. Like, regardless of who you vote for, it's probably not going to sway anything. Actually, with regards to Michigan, for example, which has a big Arab population, a Muslim population, their vote may actually determine how that state goes. So actually, it's quite consequential in that particular state. But the important thing is that Muslims have a habit of being engaged politically. And like it was being said on our Discord, there's no reason why Muslims can't be elected into first mayoral positions, and then maybe the senates in their states, or the the legislative bodies of their states, we should have a Muslim governor, inshallah. And there's no reason why we can't have a Muslim president in this country, 10, 20 years from now. I don't see why that can't happen. And I think, to be honest, Muslims are, one of the few groups of people that have maintained to a large extent some of the traditional values that used to be very commonplace in the United States. So we should not cut ourselves short. I think being involved in the political process is very important. And so I'm really encouraged by how many people went out and voted, regardless of who they voted for. So let's check in on a different channel here. Let's see if we can check in on. Well, CBS aren't talking about the elections. Let's go to. Oh my gosh. Fox Business live stream. Says in the corner, add 5 of 13. Okay, so we're not going to check in on that. See what Al Jazeera has to say. I'm just kidding. Yeah, nothing yet, guys. That's too interesting. I will obviously keep you guys posted as we get more developments here. If you guys have anything interesting that has just come across the wire that you'd like me to share, please let me know in the comments and I will. So looking here. It's really too close to call. Should start getting some exit polling results. What do you guys think of the markets today? Kind of surprising how it almost I expected a rally to take a bit of time and perhaps the markets to wait before they rallied, and they rallied pretty hard today. Dr. Khalid says, I'm not a citizen, but other family members voted for Jill Stein. Yeah, common theme. Hamid says, Salam, brother. By the way, did you guys see Hims? Hims did really well, but then it pulled back today. Their earnings were fantastic. I still think, I mean, this is one of those 10x opportunities, I think, for Hims, where the market just doesn't really understand it that well. And so it's giving investors opportunities, investors who didn't get it the first time. So you can see, like, we've visited the 25 area, $25 per share, a number of times here. And we've pulled back now to 20. But, if you look, a few months ago, this was trading at $10 per share. So we've rallied hard here. And I think their earnings are really spectacular. Every time they report earnings, fantastic. But for some reason, this company is just shorted a lot, and it's giving us the volatility. It's giving us opportunities to pick up more shares. So great earnings report by Hims. So yeah, and I do expect that definitely a Trump win will give us some more strength in Tesla. We're at 250 right now, and prior to a Trump win, I think we could go a lot higher. I think we might go to 300 before the end of the year. I guess joking about Haitians in Ohio might come to bite him. Yeah, the famous Haitian lobby may have not liked that. I just don't see how Harris can win with the lowest African American vote in recent years. Young voters and Muslims also very upset with the Dems. Yeah, as they have every right to be. I mean, Obama was out saying, "Oh, I can't believe Muslims are going to vote for Trump," even though Trump said he would do a Muslim ban. Bro, Obama was like one of the worst presidents for Muslims. As much as he, provides lip service and is an elegant speaker, he was a terrible president for Muslims. Absolute disaster. So, if Obama is wondering why Muslims aren't voting Democrat anymore, he should look in the mirror because he was an absolute disaster of a president. Good only with words, and with actions, he was absolutely terrible. Rashad says, if you eliminate comedian, you should remove Hollywood and singers, etc. Yeah, absolutely. Like, why do these people even matter at all? Like, why do people actually look to them for political advice or any type of advice? They're just famous people, and that doesn't mean they're smart in any way or wise. DJT was halted several times. Yeah, I would probably delist DJT before I delist something like Supermicro computer. This is a company that's 7 billion a market cap, close, and it's generating 800,000 in revenue a quarter. It's losing, and its EBITDA is negative 18.6 million. This is a meme if there ever was one. It's a meme stock of meme stocks. Yeah, Ali says exactly. Trump is the worst in terms of character, but in action, he has done much better. Yeah, which is not saying much. It's like being the tallest building in Plains, Georgia. But, I think in terms of actions, Republicans, you can make the arguments Republicans have been better than Democrats. The Democrats have been absolutely two-faced and untrustworthy, as have Republicans been. But, it's just which bad choice is better? That's the question. Lilly CEO is very vocal about companies that copy and paste meds. I think he was referring to Hims. I felt like he is going to push the FDA to shut down these companies. Yeah, I'm sure he'll try. I mean, it's not for no reason that he doesn't like these companies that are creating the exact same medicine at a fraction of the cost that they're able to command only because of their brand name. So I can see why he's upset with those companies, but I think that it'll be hard for him and other companies like him to uh, to eliminate these companies because they've proven that they can provide medicines that are in shortage, that are in need, that are helpful for people, and sometimes inaccessible because of price. So his comments are not surprising. Yes, but only Muslim senators, governors, and mayors are Democrats. Yeah, that probably should change. Democrats don't share, a lot of our values. I remember, with Obama, for example, he was pushing hard to. Obama presided over the Syrian revolution, and basically the Syrian population being blown up by barrel bombs, and he was really pushing for Syrian people not to have access to anti-air weaponry, right? So he became part of that conflict because he was really active in preventing Syrians from being able to defend themselves, and probably indirectly caused tens of thousands of deaths. And I still remember this. This is imprinted in my brain because it was like, man, this guy, he goes, he goes in public and talks really, softly and elegantly, and as if he's, a civilized person. But then if you look at his policies, like he's got to know, like he's smart enough to know that he's causing so much death and destruction. And this particular episode is seared in my mind. Apparently, in North Carolina or something like that, one of those states, they prevented a guy, from going into a woman's bathroom. And the press secretary at the time of Obama comes out and she's like, to the people, and the courts basically upheld the ban on males in women's bathrooms. And she comes out and she's like, to the people in North Carolina, and she's basically talking about this one pervert that tried to go into a women's bathroom. We see you. That's what she said. She's like, we see you. And I'm like, this is insane. You see this pervert that's trying to go into women bathrooms in North Carolina. You don't see the tens of thousands of people that are getting their faces blown off, and the chemical weapons that were used against them. You don't see that. You see this pervert trying to get into women's bathrooms. That was seared in my mind. I was like, I don't think I'm ever going to vote for a Democrat ever again in my life. These people are hypocrites. Ali says, Him's financials are such a beauty, literally just a healthy company. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like a work of art. If you look at their earnings and their growth and what they can do, if we look at what they can do, unburdened by what has been, then, Hims is an absolutely great opportunity. Sultan says, do you use candlestick charts? Yeah, I do. The Republicans, do you want to see these in candles? Hims and hers in candles. There you go. There's candles for you. Hello, brother. Is there any way to communicate with you or book a discussion session? Yeah, the link to book a consultation is in the description of this video, as is the link to become a member if you aren't a member already. Yeah, these liberals have gone off the deep end, really. I mean, it's very hard to support them. Checking in on betting odds here. 58.42 for Donald Trump. Let's check back in on, let's see here. Yeah. Are these guys just going to play ads all the time? This is Fox Business, by the way. Just basically an ad machine. Like the CBS guys going on about, let's get some volume here.
History ranging from shortened timelines to unpredictable speeches. We're going to take a closer look at each campaign's very different strategies and whether that has helped or hurt their bids for the White House.
Let's go back to go back to NBC and see what they're going on about.
Polling place. It's got a 2-hour-long
special live coverage right here. Decision 2024 on NBC News. Campaign correspondents covering both Team Harris and Team Trump out in the field as we're just getting that exit poll data showing the favorability for each candidate. And I want to start with Vice President Harris. 48% see her favorably, 50% unfavorable. Peter, let me ask you, what's the sense you're getting from the campaign as they've been watching not just the exits come in, but also some of that data from precincts, folks reporting, et cetera?
Yeah, well, certainly the favorable number is a number they feel good about, that they perform better than former President Trump.
Well, this is actually encouraging. If you see in the bottom, Pennsylvania exit poll, are Kamala Harris views too extreme? Oh, 49% yes, 49% no. So it's kind of down the middle there, if you believe this poll.
And Joe Biden right now. Obviously, there was some concern that Joe Biden could be sort of a weight and albatross around the neck of Vice President Harris, but she's outperforming him by 7 points in terms of favorability right now. That's something that the folks in Wilmington or the folks who will be here at Howard University tonight alongside the Vice President feel good about. I'll tell you what else we're hearing from a senior campaign official within the course of the last several minutes. They're saying one thing they view as encouraging right now is extremely high turnout among college voters. Particularly, they give us the example of what they're seeing in the state of Pennsylvania, pointing to the campuses of Lehigh and Lafayette. They say at least at one of those campuses, there are lines that extend for up to 7 hours right now. They say the campaign is sending support and surrogates to keep students in line. A separate senior campaign advisor telling me just moments ago that support comes in the form of some of the stars of the films from the Avengers series. Paul Rudd, Mark Ruffalo, and Don Cheadle, among others, will be heading to campus to try to enter.
Oh, yeah, great. Whenever I want to know who to vote for, I ask myself, what would Don Cheadle do? It's insane. All right, guys. There's still nothing. I mean, the polls, you can't really get anything from the polls because they can be skewed. The fact of the matter is the betting markets are what they are. Right now, it's 59% Donald Trump, 41% Kamala Harris. So people with money don't really care about what these guys are talking about their polls. But it's, I have to say, like, it's kind of a toss-up at this point. What matters is when the actual results start coming in and how those results turn out to be. So I'll keep you guys posted. I might go live again. We'll see. But for now, I think you're caught up on what you need to know. And if you enjoyed this live, leave a like. I'd really appreciate it. Hit the notification bell so you know if I go live again. Until next time, make sure to take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum and peace be upon you all.